The awareness that your enemies now realize you are spiritually untouchable marks a crucial turning point, not only in their tactics, but in your entire spiritual journey, as this recognition signals the beginning of a new phase where the invisible warfare escalates. But so does your divine protection and authority over every attack aimed at your soul, your purpose, and your destiny. Archangel Michael stands vigilant, his celestial armor shimmering with the power of God's justice, as he prepares to lead you through this intensified spiritual battlefield with unparalleled strength and wisdom that the enemy cannot penetrate, no matter how cunning or relentless their efforts may be. This revelation to your adversaries has awakened a desperate fury within them, an acknowledgement that their old tricks and manipulations are ineffective against the shield of faith, prayer, and divine favor you, where like an impenetrable fortress, woven from the threads of your unwavering trust in God's promises and the blood of the Lamb that protects you from all harm. Every scheme they devise to weaken you, be it through lies whispered in secret, betrayals cloaked in friendship, or attacks designed to stir fear and doubt, fails because the spiritual authority you carry is anchored in the eternal covenant with your Creator, a covenant that guarantees your victory and unstoppable advancement, even when the battles seem overwhelming on the surface. This is why Archangel Michael urges you to hold fast to your faith and walk boldly in your calling, knowing that you are not alone, but surrounded by heavenly hosts ready to fight on your behalf and to silence every voice of accusation and every plan of destruction devised against you. The enemy's realization that you are untouchable spiritually means that they will escalate their tactics, seeking to wear you down by testing your endurance, tempting you with distractions, and trying to manipulate your emotions to create division and confusion. But these strategies will only serve to deepen your spiritual discernment and refine your character as you learn to lean more heavily on God's strength rather than your own, trusting that every trial is a stepping stone toward your ultimate breakthrough. You are called to respond not with fear or retaliation, but with prayer, worship, and steadfast obedience, trusting that Archangel Michael and the armies of heaven have already secured your victory before the battle even begins. This time of heightened spiritual conflict also serves as a divine test of your resolve and your commitment to the path that God has laid before you, a path that leads to greater influence, impact, and fulfillment of your God-ordained purpose. The enemy's recognition of your spiritual untouchability will ripple beyond your personal life, affecting the generational blessings you carry and the healing you bring to others through your testimony and perseverance. You are becoming a beacon of hope and strength, an example of what it means to overcome adversity through faith and divine power. And your story will inspire countless others to stand firm in their own battles. Archangel Michael reminds you that your spiritual weaponry is powerful. Your words, your prayers, your acts of kindness, and your refusal to succumb to fear or bitterness, all combine to form a force that the enemy cannot withstand. As you continue on this journey, remember that spiritual untouchability is not about perfection, but about resilience, faithfulness, and a continuous surrender of your will to God's greater plan. The enemy's newfound fear of your strength is a sign that your breakthrough is imminent and that the promises of restoration, peace, and abundance that God has spoken over your life are about to manifest in ways you have never imagined. This knowledge should fill your heart with peace and confidence, enabling you to face each new day with joy and expectancy, knowing that no power on earth or in the spiritual realm can stop what God has begun in you. Stand firm. Keep your eyes fixed on Jesus, the author and finisher of your faith, and trust that Archangel Michael is fighting alongside you, breaking chains, closing doors on the enemy's schemes, and opening windows of opportunity for your blessing to flow freely. The enemy's realization of your spiritual untouchability is, paradoxically, a cause for celebration, for it means you are walking in divine alignment and that your protection is greater than any force that seeks to harm you. You have been prepared, equipped, and anointed for such a time as this, and nothing will derail the destiny God has planned for you. Let this truth embolden your spirit and inspire you to continue moving forward with relentless faith, unwavering hope, and a heart full of gratitude for the miraculous journey you are on, because your spiritual untouchability is not just a shield. It is a testament to the power of God working mightily through you, and the enemy's defeat is already sealed by the victory that Jesus won on the cross. Keep standing strong. Keep praying without ceasing, and watch as Archangel Michael's mighty hand leads you into a season of unprecedented favor, restoration, and divine fulfillment that will leave your enemies speechless and your heart overflowing with joy and peace. There is a subtle but powerful warning coming directly from Jesus, a whisper that carries weight and divine insight. Do not reply to that message, because what seems innocent or even hopeful is actually a carefully crafted trap designed to derail your peace, steal your joy, and entangle you in conflict you never intended to enter. This is not just a caution about a single text or email, but a profound spiritual alert about the unseen forces at work, manipulating circumstances around you through deceit and disguised intentions. Often, the enemy works through the people around you, cloaking harmful intentions in words that seem kind or familiar, knowing that your natural impulse might be to respond with curiosity, forgiveness, or defense. But Jesus' whisper breaks through the noise, urging you to pause and discern before engaging, reminding you that some messages carry more than just words. They carry spiritual weight, traps that can lead to emotional turmoil, broken trust, and unnecessary battles. This trap in disguise is a snare that threatens to pull you into cycles of anxiety, doubt, and spiritual confusion, where every reply can become a thread that tightens the noose of manipulation and emotional exhaustion. The enemy's strategy here is subtle and insidious. By baiting you with something that feels urgent, personal, or even loving, they hope to exploit your vulnerability and provoke a reaction that distracts you from your true purpose and divine protection. Jesus knows your heart and your struggles, and this whisper is a divine shield, a moment of grace that prevents you from stepping into harm's way. It is a call to guard your heart carefully, to seek wisdom and clarity from the Holy Spirit before responding to any communication that unsettles your spirit or stirs fear and confusion. This message you're being warned against could come from a person you once trusted, a situation you thought was resolved, or an unexpected source trying to reopen wounds that God has been healing in your life. By choosing not to reply, you are not showing weakness or avoidance, but wisdom and spiritual maturity, acknowledging that some battles are best won through silence, prayer, and divine timing rather than human words and actions. The trap is designed to provoke you, whether through anger, guilt, or the hope of reconciliation. But Jesus' whisper reminds you that not every invitation to engage is from a place of truth or healing. Sometimes the best way to protect your soul is to step back, breathe deeply, and entrust the situation to God's hands, knowing He is working behind the scenes to bring justice, restoration, or closure on His perfect timetable. Jesus' whisper also speaks to the importance of spiritual discernment in this digital age, where messages and connections can be manipulated and misunderstood so easily, and where your responses carry more weight than ever before. This is a moment to rise above impulsive reactions and to anchor yourself firmly in the peace and guidance that only God can provide, refusing to be lured into conflict or deception. When you feel the urge to reply, remember that silence is not empty. It is a powerful tool of protection and strength, a way to maintain your spiritual integrity and keep your heart safe from unnecessary wounds. Trust that God sees every unspoken word and is orchestrating outcomes in your favor, even when it feels like the other side is winning the battle through words and accusations. The trap in disguise is often cloaked in familiarity, sometimes even in the language of love or repentance. But Jesus' whisper cuts through all pretenses to reveal the truth beneath. You are being called to walk in divine wisdom, to protect your peace at all costs, and to remember that your value and security do not depend on any message or person, but on the unwavering love and protection of God. This is a time to cultivate patience and prayerful reflection, to lean on the support of trusted spiritual guides or friends who can help you discern the right course of action, and to resist the temptation to respond out of fear, hurt, or a desire to explain yourself. Jesus is not asking you to shut down or isolate, but to step into a higher level of spiritual awareness, understanding that some engagements are distractions while others are divine appointments. This warning is a gift, a chance to pause before responding, to pray before replying, and to keep your heart aligned with God's will rather than the enemy's schemes. As you honor this whisper, you will find that your peace deepens, your clarity sharpens, and the traps set to ensnare you fall flat because you are covered by the power of God's protection. Let this divine caution remind you that your time, energy, and heart are precious, and not every call for your attention deserves a response, especially when Jesus Himself is urging you to wait, to guard, and to trust. Your silence in the face of this trap is a testament to your faith and your partnership with heaven's angels who stand ready to defend you. Stay vigilant, stay prayerful, and remember that every moment you choose peace over reaction, you are building a foundation of spiritual strength that will carry you through every challenge and into the fullness of God's blessings. The enemy may try to tempt you with this disguised trap, but with Jesus whispering in your ear, you have the power to refuse it, to break free, and to walk confidently forward in the light and freedom of God's love, knowing that your silence today is paving the way for your victory tomorrow. You may not realize it, but in this very moment, you are standing at the edge of a divine decision, one where heaven watches silently and the enemy waits eagerly, because the next step you take, the next word you choose, the next message you answer, could determine whether you remain in the peace God gave you or fall into a cycle He already freed you from. That seemingly harmless message that just showed up, or maybe when you've been staring at, rereading, contemplating, is not as simple as it seems. Jesus is whispering again, more urgently this time, because while the words may appear apologetic, curious, or even friendly, the spirit behind them is tainted by intention that heaven can see, but you cannot. You feel the internal tug of war, the urge to respond just to explain yourself, or to stand up for your truth, or to reopen something that never truly ended. But in the background of that emotional noise is a soft, persistent whisper: don't do it. Because what you think is resolution is actually a re-entry into chaos. And what you think is closure is an open door to new wounds. The person on the other side may not even realize they're being used spiritually, but rest assured, the enemy has placed that message in your path at a strategic time, right when you're on the brink of clarity, healing, and breakthrough. The moment you respond, your peace will be compromised. The moment you type back, your mind will spiral back into overthinking, doubt, pain, memories you had finally begun to release. Jesus sees the bigger picture, and that is why He speaks in whispers, to catch your spirit before your flesh takes over, to gently but firmly redirect you away from the disaster the enemy hopes to trigger. You've come too far, cried too many nights, prayed through too many storms, just to lose your footing now. This message is not a blessing. It's bait. It's crafted to look like peace, but it carries poison. Some traps are loud and obvious, but others are subtle. Quiet invitations that appear to offer reconciliation or understanding, but are really cloaked spiritual attacks meant to reopen your heart just long enough for harm to enter again. Jesus is not asking you to hate the sender. He's asking you to protect your soul. And He knows how soft your heart is, how quick you are to forgive, how easily love can overpower logic when you've been emotionally invested. But there is a difference between being loving and being vulnerable to destruction. Your kindness is not meant to be a doorway for pain to walk through again. Right now, silence is your armor. Discernment is your sword. There is no guilt in ignoring what God has already closed. There is no shame in refusing to engage with what heaven already removed. What you think is an unanswered conversation is actually a finished chapter, and God is trying to keep you from reopening the book. Every time you feel the pull to respond, understand it is a test, not of your patience, but of your wisdom. And Jesus is not distant in this test. He's right there beside you, holding back your hands, calming your thoughts, urging you to breathe and resist. He knows what's waiting if you respond. He sees the domino effect that starts with one message and ends with spiritual depletion. That reply could cost you hours, days, even weeks of peace. It could delay the blessing He's preparing. It could pull you back into self-doubt and spiritual confusion. And for what? For temporary closure? For a false sense of connection? For a comfort that will evaporate the moment the old patterns reemerge? Jesus is reminding you, you're not the person you used to be. You don't need to respond to feel strong. You don't need to prove anything. Not to them, not to yourself, not to anyone. Your silence is not avoidance. It's elevation. It's proof that you've matured spiritually. It's proof that you're ready for the blessings that don't come with manipulation or confusion. It's proof that you're beginning to trust Jesus over your emotions. Do not let nostalgia fool you. Do not let guilt corner you. Do not let longing undo the growth that took months or years to build. The enemy knows your heart has softened, so he sends messages disguised as memories. But Jesus whispers, I have more for you. I have real love for you. I have peace that doesn't leave the moment after it arrives. And if you can hold still in this moment, if you can resist the temptation to respond, you will unlock a new level of favor, peace, and healing. Your no is a yes to God's protection. Your restraint is a statement of faith that says, God, I trust that you saw what I didn't, and I trust you enough to let silence speak for me. And don't be surprised if, after your silence, new doors open, because God honors those who listen when he whispers. He defends those who let him fight their battles. And he rewards those who choose the strength of spiritual discernment over the noise of emotional reaction. So let the message sit unanswered. Let the enemy watch you rise higher. Let Jesus whisper louder than their words. And let your silence echo in the spiritual realm as a roar of victory, a declaration that says, I belong to something greater than this trap. I choose the voice of my Savior over the bait of the enemy. I'm done letting text decide my peace. I'm done letting old ties write new chapters. I'm done. I choose Jesus. And just when you think the silence is your weakness, Jesus reveals it is your greatest strength, because anyone can react, but only the spiritually mature can refrain. The enemy banks on your emotional history, on that lonely night, on that song that reminds you of them, on that one place in your heart that hasn't fully healed. And that's exactly where the trap is set. It doesn't come in the form of open hate or conflict. It comes clothed in subtlety. Just wanted to check in, or I was thinking about you, or maybe we can talk. And before you know it, your heart's racing, your mind is pacing, your fingers hovering over your phone wondering if this is a sign or a setup. And while your logic battles with your longing, heaven is still and clear. Jesus is whispering louder than ever. You already know this is not me. Because if it were from God, it wouldn't stir your anxiety. If it were sent by heaven, it wouldn't destabilize your peace. If it were divine, it wouldn't come wrapped in confusion. You see, the enemy isn't just trying to hurt you. He's trying to reroute your purpose. He's trying to make you forget who you've become, how far you've come, and all the nights you cried your way into healing. Because if he can get you to answer that one message, he knows it opens a door to overthinking, a door to cycles, a door to self-doubt. Suddenly, your confidence starts trembling again, your clarity starts clouding again, and you're left wondering why your chest feels heavy again. That's not coincidence. That's not nostalgia. That's spiritual warfare. And the most dangerous thing about this trap is that it doesn't look like one. It looks like a second chance. It looks like reconciliation. It looks like maturity. But in truth, it's the enemy using a familiar face to drag you back into a familiar prison. The same prison you begged God to release you from. The same pain he already healed. The same confusion he already delivered you from. Jesus is whispering to your soul. This message is not your miracle, it's your test. And how you respond or don't respond will echo far beyond this moment. Because you are not just protecting your peace, you are preserving your future. The enemy is terrified of your progress. He's watching you become emotionally stronger spiritually bolder, more discerning, more whole. And so he panics. He throws bait in the form of a message, thinking that maybe, just maybe, you'll forget how deeply it hurt before, how many nights you doubted yourself, how many times you were manipulated, how often you were left wondering why love felt like a punishment. But you're not that person anymore. You're no longer living for explanations or apologies. You are walking in revelation. And God is about to reward you in public for the things you chose to surrender in private. That message may look harmless, but it's soaked in the old energy God has removed from your life. It carries the scent of delay, the vibration of spiritual drain. And if you let it in again, it won't just visit, it will settle. It will unpack old wounds and redecorate your peace with chaos. But Jesus is whispering now, and what he says must be louder than what your past is texting. He's telling you, I have someone for you who won't ghost you. I have love for you that doesn't require pain. I have peace that doesn't come with apology. But I need you to trust me more than you trust that fantasy. Because what you're being tempted by is not real. It's a recycled illusion dressed in temporary comfort. And when you finally say no, not out of bitterness, but out of obedience, you break the enemy's cycle. You snatch back your power. You make a statement to heaven and hell. I will not go back. I'm not answering this trap. I've healed too much to be hurt again. And in that silence, God will move. In that pause, God will shift something. In that decision not to respond, you'll open the door to divine acceleration. You'll feel it in your sleep. You'll feel it in your breath. You'll feel it in your clarity. Because when you honor Jesus with your choices, even in the unseen battles, he shows up with favor no text message could ever offer. So leave it on read. Leave it unanswered. Let them wonder why you didn't reply. Let the enemy watch you keep walking in power. Let your silence become the loudest declaration of freedom. Because what's ahead of you is not a repeat, it's a redemption. And Jesus is already preparing what's next. Don't look back now. Don't give away your progress. Don't trade your healing for a familiar heartache. This is the moment where your restraint becomes your release. This is the test you pass by not picking up what God told you to put down. And the ones who are praying for your downfall will be silenced by your peace. The ones who try to pull you back and will watch heaven push you forward. And while you stay quiet, the angels rejoice. Because you didn't fall for the trap, you rose into your purpose.